Hello and welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Why I Hate series. And as you can see, my background is quite a bit different. This is because I moved, and this is why it took so long to actually record the second episode. Right now, I'm gonna be like way more active in recording. And as the title suggests, you guessed it, this video is gonna be all about Castle. And Castle, okay, is my favorite faction of all right now. But there's still reasons to hate it. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about everything that I love and about everything that I hate about the faction. I hope you enjoy. The playstyle of Castle is actually amazing. You start off with a huge marksman pass stack that are able to clear most of the map for you. Churchyards, crypts, black towers, boxes, dwellings, they can do everything so well. I love marksman. And then in the mid game, you have special castle building to carry you, and that is the stables. Stables will be providing every single visiting hero with 400 extra moves every turn till the end of the week. Honestly, one of the strongest faction buildings in the entire game. It gets you to do so much more every single day of the game, and that snowballs really heavily. And they snowball into, usually, angels. Angels are some of the best units in the game, and using them is really nice. So you have like a really nice mix for playstyle on Castle. Early game marksman, mid game with stables, then you go into late game with angels. Everything about Castle gameplay is a lot of fun. Now then, let's talk about tower units. Tower has a pretty good variety of units, and most of them do their job pretty well. First up, we have the pikemen and the halberdiers. These units are some of the tankiest tier 1 units in the entire game. You don't really have a way to actually master a lot of them, so they usually don't make for a pal stack. However, they make for a great supplementary stack that are able to protect your archers, and they just do a pretty good job in most of the fights that they take. For example, fly hives and so on. Pretty basic unit, but you know what? They do like a really good job and they feel very in place. Next up is one of my favorite units in the entire game, actually. Those are the archers and marksmen. Now, archers are actually, I don't like them at all. However, they turn into great marksmen, so that's amazing. They deal 2 to 3 damage and they shoot twice. They deal an insane amount of damage, and the best part is that you get a lot of them. In many templates, you can start off with Valeska as a hero. Valeska starts off with many of the... they start off with the 3 archer stacks, and those 3 archer stacks can immediately clear churchyards, crypts, and that is what makes Castle actually as good as they are. You can pay a lot of gold in order to play Castle in a town trade and still be fine, and still be left with even 8 heroes on day 1 in most templates, which is honestly like amazing. A really good quality of tower. The bosses that you get for archers or marksmen are also amazing. You get 60 archers, and yeah, one of the most influential early game boxes, probably from the entirety of Heroes 3. Honestly, these units are great, and I probably wouldn't love Castle as much as I do if it weren't for these guys. Then, next up is we have the most dreadful of the Castle units, okay? We have the Griffin, and the Royal Griffin. Honestly, ain't nothing royal about these Griffins at all. Honestly, everything about them, like, really sucks. They are not really tanked because their defense skill is pretty low. For a tier 3 unit, they have like pretty decent HP, but it's not really that amazing. Their build path is atrocious. What kind of unit needs to build tier 4 units to go back into tier 3 units? It doesn't make any sense, and honestly, it's like really horrible. Now you might be saying, hey Lexiav, but they have like a pretty cool ability. They can retaliate many times. And you know what I say to that? That is actually like a literal downside. Because this means it's actually harder to get things to hit your griffins, and you want things to hit your griffin. The only redeeming quality of them is the fact that they're maybe like somewhat tanky, so they could be like meat for you that could at least tank for your marksman. However, their ability is literally only a deterrence for things to actually not hit it and hit other things. And yeah, they retaliate a lot, but they retaliate a lot for 0 damage every single time, so who cares? What a useless and horrible ability. From a horrible unit altogether. And we get a boss of those, then oh my god, you're sad. Literally every single castle box is actually great. Like amazing, immediate power stack, except for griffins. Yeah. They are probably the biggest reason why I would ever hate Castle ever. So yeah. Then next up is you have the Swordsmen and the Crusaders. Navigating units that have 2 attacks is actually usually pretty difficult because they take a retaliation probably most usually after the first hit. However, Crusaders feel really good nonetheless. They're one of the highest damage units in the entire tier 4 class. And they do a very good job being a power stack. Their most notable use case is gonna be taking Utopias. Like, they are so good at taking Utopias because they just one-shot a Dragon stack every single turn. And it's honestly like amazing to see. They're great with Bless, they're great without, and yeah. I mean, Swordsmen are kind of average, but when you upgrade to Crusaders, then oh my god, you're going on a crusade, usually to win the game, because Castle is that amazing. Then next up is we have the Monk and the Zealot. And these units are probably like one of the lower tier units so that Castle has to offer. Like a tier 5 unit with 25 HP just usually doesn't cut it, you know, like so low HP, honestly like almost unacceptable. And that's pretty unfortunate. Now, the good part is that when you get the Monks results from the boss, you get like so many of them that they actually become like an amazing super high damage power stack anyway. But when it comes to building them, you usually don't build them. Because getting like 3 growth units into a good enough power stack is just like a little bit too hard. And usually you don't invest for it at all. Then next up is we have the Cavalier. Cavalier are honestly like amazing. And they do a lot of damage, actually like pretty cheap to build because the only resource they need is wood. And wood is usually like one of the most available resources in the game. And they have like a decent build path because, you know, you go like through stables in order to get there, and stables is like a thing that you want to build in every single game as well. So yeah, it's kind of amazing. The only reason we don't see Cavaliers represented more than they already are is because they have like very fierce competition, which we'll get into in a moment. Notable as well is that they can Cavaliers can actually be upgraded into champions using the Stables external object, which can save you like a little bit of, you know, build timings, wood, gold, and so on. If you have like a good stables position, then you might want to be leaning more towards Cavaliers just because of that, honestly. And, you know, the reason why we don't build Cavaliers usually anyway is because of the best unit in the game, the Angel. Honestly, what an amazing unit. They're able to do a lot for you. They're super tanky, so they can soak up a lot of damage without dying. They deal consistently a high amount of damage at 50. It is honestly like really amazing how much damage they actually deal. But actually, I think it's 40 from the unupgraded version. Yeah. So honestly, they don't even like reduce your morale by being there. So even if you have like one angel and nothing else, you want to put them in your army anyway. That's how good they actually are. And yeah, their lightsaber animations are very satisfying to watch as well. Everything about this unit is like, it's like very game defining even. Whenever we first opened up Heroes 3, okay, back way in the past, and we saw that Archangel with a sword, you know know exactly what poster I'm talking about. That is epic. And that feeling of epicness that the Angel provides through the entire game, and especially the Castle faction, never faded for me. And honestly, I love it. So yeah, they're very good because you can stack them up from the power stack. The build path is okay, they're expensive, but they're most definitely worth it. And that is the most, that is the most faction-defining unit that the game has to offer. Really amazing stuff. Let's talk Castle heroes. Castle has the Knights and the Clerics. Now, the might part of the Castle faction is driven by the Knights. There's 2 notable Knights in the game. That is going to be Valeska and Beatrice. Valeska is the hero that you usually pick in GB's formats in order to get the 3 stacks of archers, which make for an amazing start that you can tempo off of. Honestly, a really great hero. She boosts the marksman to speed 8, which means that you can do pickets almost immediately into the game, and you can do churchyards by cutting the zombies pretty easily, and so on. A pretty good hero, but they usually don't develop her that much, and you want to be developing other heroes because Knights don't end up developing that well. Knights usually don't get earth magics as easily as some of the other factions, they usually don't roll into logistics either, and they start off with leadership, which is not a bad skill, but honestly pretty subpar. You might be wanting something else instead. And the other hero that I mentioned was Beatrice. Beatrice is amazing, she can see so far and give you that critical piece of information that you'll be able to use in order to make some more optimal decisions in your games on how you want to be progressing and how you want to be approaching your map. Honestly, whenever you're going to be using Beatrice, she feels like really good to use. But once again, these heroes are better as either a starting hero, a supplementary hero. They don't make for as good of a main as an Overlord or Barbarian would do, you know? And then other castle heroes are going to be the Clerics. Clerics are an okay support class for some templates. For example, Caitlyn and Adelaide are going to be some of the best heroes to develop on an MT5 walk setup. And also Adelaide is the preferred hero currently in the current patch of Duel. So, you know, they have their uses and they can be okay. However, usually they are outshined by some of the other classes like Elementalists if you can find one. So they're not usually picked and they're pretty rarely developed because, well, you usually develop a cleric when you want a side hero with diplomacy, and there are times where you really want diplomacy. But those cases are actually pretty rare, so clerics are pretty niche. They are average at best. Same for knights, compared to other my classes, at least. As you might have guessed from the context of the video, I really like Castle. I like their thematics, I like their gameplay, a really solid, amazing faction. The only notable reason to hate the faction is gonna be the Griffin, but you usually can ignore a single bad unit from a faction and still be okay. The worst parts are when you get like a box of Griffins, then you probably wish you would have gotten almost anything else. Yes, even empty. But yes, that will do for my overview of the Castle faction. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check me out on Twitch. I stream almost every single day. And subscribe to my YouTube as well, so you don't miss the other faction rant videos. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.